Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. The Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need, from Jupiter to Miami, from Tampa to Naples. And we'll talk more about Tom Laporta later in the program. All right, so today, just total chaos at the White House. We do not have a functioning government in the United States. You guys know this. Mm-hmm. I watched the press conference with Jean-Pierre, which was one of the most fun things I've watched on television in years. It definitely was funnier than that last episode of Seinfeld back in '97 or whenever that was. I tell you, I just loved it. Coming up later, I'm going to play some of the highlights, and it was just a disaster. But Biden today, it
is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm, he had lunch today with Kamala. And then he came out and said that he's not dropping out.
Yep.
And I know the conventional wisdom is, well,
I told you guys, we told you he wouldn't. We told you.
It may not be up to him. There's so many things going on. Tonight, Gavin Newsom and other governors are meeting face-to-face with Biden. And notice they're doing this at night during that sundown syndrome era, right, time. They're not doing it between 10 and 4. And if you watch the media, there are really no Democrats coming out telling Biden to stay in the race. It's universal. You watch, well, except like Mika Brzezinski. But other than Mika Brzezinski and Scarborough, the entire air staff of CNN, MSNBC, and all their Democrat guests and the donors, I would say they're about 99% saying Biden drop out of the race. And if he's not competent enough to run, how can he be competent enough to hold the office?
Well, I think what's coming next is they're going to release that horror report.
Well, the videos of it. They have video of it,
That's
too.
what they're going to release. I never said they wouldn't be able to replace him. I just said he'll never step down. Mm-hmm. And he won't, because I don't know why this is such a surprise. He's a belligerent, nasty old man. And the press has created this problem. First of all, they created the problem by letting him run in the first place, because this dementia issue is not new. He was showing signs of decline even back then. And
it's gotten worse.
It's much, much worse. They've been protecting him for years. In fact, I just read an article in the New York Post. The ex-New York Times boss blasts reporters for their role in Biden's mass cover-up. They failed to hold power accountable. And they did. And she said the reason the reporters have been protecting him, because if they attack him, it gives the impression they're helping Trump. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to do that. And that's what it's all about. And she said, but it's a dereliction of duty that they have been protecting him for so long. And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to just, on a dime, be like, it's not like the guy, had a massive stroke and all of a sudden he's like a blubbering idiot. This has been going on. This has been a slow drip for years. Yeah. And now it's finally rearing its ugly head. So they've been protecting him for so long. And all of a sudden they turn on him, and people, they expect to just go with it. It's just crazy.
The story is developing minute by minute. Things are changing. Okay. And this move with Kamala is still in play, but something happened. I'll just recap that a little bit because I talked about it on the morning show. Yesterday, a story came out that Michelle Obama has been privately speaking with top black Democrat donors and raising money for Kamala. And that is true. And the reason that they had to come out that way is they wanted to get rid of this nonsense that Michelle's going to run. So
she just announced that she's not running.
Yeah, who did?
She just put out a statement.
Kamala?
Yep. No, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, yeah.
Yeah, she's not running.
So, anyway, that is a true thing that's happening. There's a definite move to push the nomination on the Kamala and pass Joe over. There's a couple of reasons why, okay? And the Democrats have been leaking stuff out for 2 days. Everything they leak out is more devastating than one before. It came out yesterday that the tens of millions of dollars that the Biden-Harris campaign have raised, that if she or Biden are not the nominee under the campaign finance laws, they've got to refund all that money and start from scratch with fundraising.
Yeah, so it's him or her.
Now, Joe came out after this lunch with Kamala, and they have lunch regularly, okay? After this lunch with Kamala, and he said, I'm not dropping out, I'm running. There's been a wrinkle for Kamala today because people started saying, well, wait a minute. If she has lunch with him regularly, that means she knows how he is. So she's part of this senile Alzheimer's cover-up too. It's a mess what's going on. And this is beautiful. Someone left me a comment on YouTube today. They said, why are you in such a good mood? Why are you so happy? It's easier to beat Biden than anybody else. Trump can beat anybody. But here's the thing. This chaos inside the Democrat Party is beautiful. We are, I think, 5 weeks away from their convention. The election is just a few short months away. Yeah. Trump has had victory after victory. He's no longer a convicted felon after the Supreme Court ruling. Yeah. And this chaos in the Democrat Party day to day, is he dropping out? Are they plugging him in? Is it going to be Gavin? Well, there was one Democrat who was saying that they need to have a mini primary where like 5 Democrats all compete for the nomination starting now and start have this mini primary thing.
It's a mess
with debates and everything on TV. This is great.
Yeah, they're not on the same
chaos party.
They're not on the same page. In fact, there's like 20 pages. Everybody has their own ideas.
Yeah,
it's amazing to me. Really shocking that they did not have a plan B ready to go. I'm really surprised because they've known this guy was on the edge for at least 6 months. And the problem they're having is he is not cooperating with them.
No.
That's the first obstacle. So they have to go to, okay, the other option we have is the 25th Amendment. He would fight them on that. That would be a big mess for them. To throw out a president and have him challenge it, it would be a disaster. I mean, the party's really falling apart. They are not on the same page at all. You have 20 different things going on right now with different ideas. Collectively, they want him out, but that's where the unity ends. What to do after that is where they're having the problems, because you probably got 5 people that want that job. You got, the issue with the money kind of settles it now.
Yeah.
It's Kamala or Biden because they got like over $200 million in the coffers. They do not want to refund that money. Mm-mm. Trust me. And they don't want to start from scratch. Trump has almost $400 million money. Okay. So you need money to run a campaign. So that has settled that problem. It will be Biden or Kamala. He is not dropping out. They are stuck with this guy. I watched the press conference today, which I don't usually do, but Benny Johnson was hosting it on X. So it was kind of fun because there was a chat and he was making comments. And Jean-Pierre just lied nonstop. And there was a moment where they said to him, why doesn't Biden come out here and answer questions? And then one reporter said, if he's even awake. And it was pretty funny. Yeah. She didn't like that.
He's awake. I think that was James Rosen that said that.
Somebody said that's not appropriate. Yeah. It is appropriate. And that is the big question. Ari Fleischer said, unless Biden can come out and actually answer questions during a press conference at night, then he's done. And he's right about that. He said he needs to do a live press conference in the evening to show people. But we all know he's out of it. I mean, that debate, the fallout has just been incredible to me. And the press, like you said, CNN, I don't know about MSNBC. I don't watch them at all. But CNN is full throttle on Biden attacking. Even the Trump pundits, they let them go on and on. They don't interrupt them anymore. They are full on board with this idea of replacing him. But if he doesn't... So how do you take that back? If he doesn't say, I'm going to step it down, how do they correct all of this Biden bashing? They've already lost so much credibility.
They can't.
So how do they come back and do another 180 and go back to where they were protecting the guy?
Biden,
I mean, they're just such hacks.
Biden made a big mistake. He can't do a press conference, which is what they want. So he's doing this interview with Stephanopoulos, and they were, I'm going to play some clips about, and this may be in one of the clips we'll play in the next segment of the press conference today. But they were talking about why doesn't he do a non-scripted interview, the press was saying. And Jean-Pierre says he has done many non-scripted interviews. And things are so chaotic. They're saying things out loud that they don't really mean to say. So what Jean-Pierre is saying is he does a lot of, and the press, by the way, are in on this. He does scripted interviews all the time that are pre-written with the Q&A, and it's all fake. Because I thought all interviews were non-scripted. Now all of a sudden they're acknowledging that they do scripted interviews. Well, and
that's part of the problem. She's dumb.
She's got a tough thing to defend. But
she's got a million people coming at her with ideas and what to say.
So Jean-Pierre and the media both acknowledged that Biden does scripted interviews, which I thought was great.
Of course.
And this interview with Stephanopoulos, which I'm sure is scripted, but even though they're saying it's not, it's pre-recorded and can be edited. And if something happens, they could just ask the question, get the answer again, and edit the bad response out.
They could that interview over 3 days if they wanted to.
That interview, some of it's supposed to come out Friday on Good Morning America, little tease, and then the interview is going to air Sunday. This is 4th of July weekend.
Crazy.
Today, as we're recording the podcast, it's July 3rd, right? It's Wednesday, the day before. This is already the weekend for most of America.
Right.
Those of you outside of the United States, this is one of the biggest weekends of the year. It's when we celebrate our independence from England. And the 4th of July is on a Thursday. That means the weekend starts on Wednesday. It's on a different day every year, obviously. So a lot of this is getting held up from the weekend. So the Stephanopoulos interview is going to air on Sunday. That means Monday, everyone's going to be talking about what a scripted, fake, edited interview it is, and it's going to start this cycle. And not only that, the news media, even this whole week is a holiday week for a lot of people. When I came home from the radio station this morning, there was like half the amount of traffic there normally is because so many people are already off work. So
they'll be off tomorrow. So it starts today.
So the full impact of the crisis at the White House hasn't really hit yet because America is in holiday mode this week. Next week, things are back to normal. And in a couple weeks, we have the Republican convention. This is amazing. And I was talking to Steve about this today. I should have looked up the details of this because I can't remember who it was. But Nixon, during Watergate, Nixon never thought about resigning. There was all these calls for him to resign. And he didn't care. He had won re-election. He won a re-election in a landslide. And the people that were calling for him to resign were Democrats. And since he was a Republican, he didn't care what Democrats thought. Right. And then the Republican Party turned on him.
Why?
And because things were coming out, it was getting so bad. And a small group of Republicans, there were like 4 of them, 3, 4, 5 at the most. I can't remember the exact number, but it was 3 to 5. They went to the White House and said, Mr. President, it's over. You're going to be impeached. You're going to get removed from office. So he resigned. And he caved when 3, 4 Republicans said it. Biden has the entire Democrat Party against him. A friend of mine
does not care.
A friend of mine called me this morning in the first hour of the show this morning. If you go back and listen to that, his name's Patrick. And he's a big Republican campaign operative here in Florida. He works on statewide Republican campaigns. He works for Congress people and people like that. So he's well placed, right? And he was telling me, they'll however it winds up, they'll unify again and they'll have the party machine. And I told him, I said, the Democrat Party machine is completely out of order. It cannot be repaired.
No,
and there's so much damage that's been done. Now, this thing with Jean-Pierre and
and I heard even one Democrat congressman or governor or somebody said Trump's going to win, and I'm okay with that. And I want to say one more thing. Biden just put out an all-staff memo for them to quiet murmurs of him dropping out. Yeah. And a senator who voted with Biden 95% of the time will not appear with him in her own hometown after the debate. And this is going to be a big problem for him, is these people that are up for re-election are not going to, this is what they're really afraid. They're not worried about him or America. They're worried about their own ass. Yeah. They're worried about their own elections this year and the whole party. And you're right, it is not going to come back from this, not anytime soon.
Well, when I was watching the Jean-Pierre press conference today, which was a disaster.
It was.
The people around Biden there's a handful of people in the inner circle that are like in their 70s and stuff, but most of them, like Jean-Pierre, are younger. They're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, and they have plans on having Washington jobs for decades to come.
Right.
And Jean-Pierre, there was a story that was in Politico and was in the New York Post today, and it said that it was stuff from the immediate staff of the White House said they are all scared S-less of him, that if he hears news from them that he doesn't like, he has meltdowns and they're scared of him.
Oh, yeah. They're not dealing with a nice man.
And they're giving him false information because they're afraid of
I've said that all along, that they keep him in a bubble and they don't tell him the truth of what's happening. When
I was watching Jean-Pierre's press conference today, that went on forever, and it was brutal, as you'll hear in the next segment when I play some of the highlights. And I was thinking, what is she doing? What is she doing? And then I realized Jean-Pierre is part of the team that wants Biden to drop out, or she would have cut the press conference short. She didn't have to stay up there that long. She could leave anytime she wants and say, okay, that's it. But she didn't. She kept it going, and it was a variation of the same question over and over about Biden having Alzheimer's.
Just to kind of hammer it. And even though she was denying it, the fact she was letting the reporters constantly ask.
She's getting sound bites in every Washington press corps media outlet because all the major media got some of them multiple times to ask her questions about Biden having dementia. So every media outlet is going to have their personal reporter have an exchange with her. But she helped get the narrative expanded and continue today. And as dumb as Jean-Pierre is, I don't think that was a mistake. I think she's undermining Biden.
Okay, so
it's crazy.
We've said all along he will never drop out on his own. No. So what do you think is the next play? Because this is not a nice man. He's a selfish person. He only cares about himself. And he is not going to go quietly into the night like Nixon did and retire and do his own thing. He is going to challenge them. His wife will never let him step down. Okay, it's never the family. These are people that absolutely live in a bubble and absolutely think that they are just entitled to be here.
Yeah.
Somebody made a comparison about them, how they really belong on Jerry Springer. And I think that's true.
Yeah, white trash.
But what do you think is the next move of the deep state? They're all in on this. They're all in. They can't backtrack this now. They've gone down that rabbit hole.
It's to release the video of that prosecutor interview.
That's what I think is going to be the next step.
And what they're going to tell him is, what they're going to tell Jill is, and she may not care about this part, she's going to tell him that if he doesn't do the right thing and he's declared mentally incompetent, he won't be able to pardon Hunter because of his mental incompetencies. He can't sign documents. See, Nixon resigning from office was pretty humiliating, okay? And they have one last opportunity to end this with the illusion of grace. And they really maybe have gotten beyond that already. So, before we take our first break, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And remember, Patreon supporters, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and Shawna. And I'll give a little special shout out to Shawna today because I left the house without my coffee this morning, if you were listening to the show. And I didn't realize it till I was halfway to the radio station, which is way up on 95. So I got off of 95 and I went to Starbucks. And Kathy, sometimes when I get coffee early in the morning from Starbucks, which I hate doing, it tastes funny. And it tastes particularly funny today. And then somebody told me in the chat on YouTube that taste is whatever they used to clean the coffee pots, and they hadn't flushed it. So I was basically drinking Drano or whatever they cleaned them with. And
oh my goodness,
I was starting to go through, but I have to be on the air at 6, and there really no other coffee shops open in the neighborhood, and this is a common thing if you're the first person at Starbucks getting the coffee.
Brian usually gets his coffee the day before,
or I make it at home.
Yeah,
and I heat it up, and so I left my coffee at home today, and so anyway, I was short by my coffee a lot, and I was doing okay for a while. But about the last hour of the 3-hour show, I started to go through withdrawals.
Yeah.
And Shawna showed up, and she brought me coffee, and it was very nice. I've never seen Shawna in person before, so
you know what? She spilled the coffee. She went back to Starbucks.
You're kidding me?
No.
She spilled it and then went back?
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. And I'd never seen Shawna in person before, so I didn't recognize her at first. And usually I don't consume anything edible that listeners give me.
Right, yes.
Okay?
She was worried about that.
I do. That is a rule of thumb, but I trust Shawna. She's one of our top Patreon supporters, and I did drink the coffee, so thank you very much. Because that last hour, I was going through withdrawals, and from the caffeine, not having the coffee, it was. I was like, how am I going to get through this last hour of the show? And thanks to Shawna, I did. So thanks, Shawna, for bringing me the coffee. I didn't know she spilled the coffee, then went back and got more. Oh,
yes.
My goodness.
Yep.
Plus, the radio station's like 20 miles from her house.
That's right.
So she drove 40 miles round trip.
Yes.
And oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a dedication.
I should be her Patreon. So
thank you, Shawna.
So I appreciate that. It's very much appreciated, Shawna. You did save me, because I would have had a headache all day long if I had not had that. So if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, you don't have to drive 40 miles round trip to bring me coffee, although it's very much appreciated, Shawna. But there's a link in the description of the episode. You click that link and follow that, and it'll tell you how to become a Patreon supporter. All right, listen, we're going to take our first break. When we get back, we got a lot to get into in the next segment, including the next segment's our audio soundbite segment. Got a lot of audio soundbites, many from the press conference today. We'll get into all that and more. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Sarah Jane Trigula comes an unforgettable adventure that you will want to add to your must-read list. Souls in the Stars, available on Amazon. In Souls in the Stars, meet Bay Lily. She knows what happens when people die, but when her little brother Ash is trapped in an orb of light, Bay's world turns upside down. Now at 18, she must take her spiritual test. She's unprepared and struggles with her emotions, but still faces a reality where her brother is stuck in the in-between. She's joined by an unlikely crew and sets out across a dangerous island jungle to free Ash's soul and discover her own destiny. Souls in the Stars has everything: science fiction, adventure, a mystical island, a love triangle, romance, magic. It's Hunger Games meets Avatar. Explore the delicate balance between science and faith. Uncover the universal truths that bind us all, and order your copy of Souls in the Stars from author Sarah Jane Triglia. Available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Life's too short to spend it alone. Calling all seniors who are young at heart. SeniorMatch.com is the place to be if you're looking for friendship, romance, or companionship. The easy-to-use platform is designed exclusively for seniors looking to connect and build meaningful relationships. Don't wait any longer. Sign up for free at SeniorMatch.com today. That's SeniorMatch.com. Brian Craig here. Our 6th annual cruise is coming up, and you're all invited. This time, we're sailing for 7 nights on Celebrity Cruise Line's newest ship, the Ascent, to Puerto Plata, St. Thomas, and St. Martin. We set sail March 30th. We have private shore excursions, private cocktail parties, group activities. We're going to go to the shows together and much, much more. Call in at Cruise and Travel Depot right now, 561-244-5779, 561-244-5779. And online at cruisingdepot.com to make your reservation and lock in our private group rate. Nothing comes close to Celebrity Cruises. What if the future was closer than you think? In the book, The AI That Feared Death, Romeo and Juliet in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, from entrepreneur, engineer, and author Jay Raventos, the stakes have never been higher. When one of the world's most influential billionaires warns in a podcast that the mysterious foundation at the heart of Silicon Valley is on the verge of achieving artificial general intelligence, the world listens. And the existential risks that follow, they have everyone talking. Two freshmen at Stanford who were caught in a whirlwind plot will make you question what it truly means to be human. The AI That Feared Death, Romeo and Juliet in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, is available now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. This book is filled with love, technology, and the ultimate human experience. Order your copy right now. The AI That Feared Death, from author Jay Raventos, on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, Caitlin Collins over at CNN just tweeted this, and I want to share this with you. She said, Biden tells staff, the past few days have been tough. I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls. Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can, and as simply and straightforward as I can. I am running. I'm the nominee of the Democratic Party. No one's pushing me out. I'm not leaving. End of quote. End of quote. I got to say that. End of quote.
Oh, my goodness.
So, CNN, I'm not going to go through the whole background of it because I said it so many times. CNN is the deep state.
Yep.
Carl Bernstein, who's been all over this, he's part of the deep state. So he is defying the deep state, and he told
what Chuck Schumer said.
Yeah, they got 6 ways from Sunday to get at you if you go after the deep state, right? Is that what he said? That's what Trump's been going through all these years.
And Trump went against the deep state in private, but he fired Comey. That's when all that started.
Yeah, that's what.
But really Biden is defying them publicly. So this will be very interesting. Here's what I think is going on. I think Obama's been driving things and driving this whole movement because I think he wants Kamala to be in there. And the only way she has any hope, which I don't think she has any hope at all, but in their mind, the only way she has hope is if she becomes president now and is president for 4 or 5 months and is the incumbent going in. And at least she
that's
will
the
be
thing that
the
gives
first,
them hope.
Gives them any, in their mind, gives them some kind of hope. And I think Obama wants her to be the president. His wife won't do it. She said today she's not doing it, and I don't blame her. But he wants his friend Kamala to be the president because they can run the country together. I believe that they're very tight.
Some things
you
that
can draw your own conclusions.
A lot of
on
people
that.
think that her and Obama have been having an affair.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. And they can run the country together. So I think that's what he has in mind. Joe Biden has other plans and is like, screw you guys. So now that it's like watching a tennis game. So he's volleyed the ball back. Now it's in their court.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do with it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Now let's start going through some of the audio, okay? This was CNN today, okay? I've got so many sound bites we got to get through in this segment. It's just total meltdown in the media today.
The dam is breaking, Jake. Top Democratic leaders, former administration officials, current administration officials, major donors are all telling us privately, and now we're hearing it publicly, that they think that President Biden needs to step aside for the good of the party, for the good of the country. A couple of things they're saying. They do not think the debate was just a one-off event. They think that there is a health problem. They also say you cannot unsee the debate. They're worried, obviously, because of Donald Trump, who they see as an existential threat to democracy, but they're also worried about down-ballot races, losing the House and the Senate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's CNN. So there's a crisis going on. Now, this thing that you were saying about Kamala, no one can beat Trump, okay? But you got to think about this like these Trump haters do, okay? They're not rational. If he's not fit to run for the office, he's certainly not fit to hold the office, right? If they plug her in and she becomes the president for 6 months, they think they have a hope to beat Trump because she'll be the first female president and she's a double minority, Indian and black.
Right.
And they think a lot of women and minorities will flock to her. And I'm not sure they'll do that because she will already have been president. Like when Obama got elected the first time, he wasn't president yet. So she'd already be there. But that's what their hope is. And I know she's completely stupid. I mean, you see the things she says, but 6 months it's less than 6 months till the election. That's not a lot of time for her to screw up. If she keeps her mouth shut, doesn't talk too much, and stays on script, she won't mess up that much. And how much can she mess up in 5 months?
She's a moron.
Yeah, she's a train wreck.
She's a moron. Every time she opens her mouth, I'm going to play something. Somebody just put this on. Libs of TikTok just put this on. So just to remind you guys of Pamela. Okay, this is something she said.
Which brings me to May 30th, 2020. Bob and Doug returned to the Kennedy Space Center. They suited up. They waved to their families. And they rode an elevator up nearly 20 stories. They strapped in to their seats and waited as the tanks beneath them filled with tens of thousands of gallons of fuel.
Okay, the point of that is...
Yeah, I don't know what the point of that is.
She talks to people like they're 5 freaking years old. Every time she talks...
Because that's where her mind is. The mind of a child.
If you think about it, it's like she's talking to 5-year-olds. She is so stupid. And I think a lot of it is because she just cannot have a complex thought. I think
she's stupid.
This is how I think Obama is coaching her because she says a lot of empty platitudes, but she's just not as good as he is at pulling it off. And I think he is coaching her. She says nothing of substance.
Obama's giving her the lines, but it's like somebody trying to tell a comedian's joke without timing. She can't deliver the lines.
Her delivery's awful.
Yeah.
The way and the laughing and the cackling, she speaks in such simplistic terms, and the dancing and the this and that. I don't understand how she has any hope. This is all about money, okay? Because they can't transfer the money to somebody else. But they had an opportunity. They've had many opportunities with Biden to move this along. When those her tapes were done and they wouldn't release them and the media was protecting him and they've been protecting him for months and months and months. They could have resolved this a year ago. But the debate, and believe me, they were very willing to keep the ruse going. They were very willing to keep lying to the American people about it. He's great. He's fine. The problem is he did the debate.
Yeah.
And they can't lie about it anymore.
That's right.
The cover was blown.
And
they can't keep it going anymore.
The thing with Obama wanting Kamala, he thinks he can control Kamala because she's stupid. But if they are having an affair, they could be the first 2 presidents to have sex with each other. And I think that's probably some kink going on with him too. Okay, so Adam Carolla was on with Greg Gutfeld. He had a pretty funny solution to get Biden out of the running. Listen to this. Hold on, I got to turn it up.
Yeah, this is a great idea.
Yeah, well, Adam Carolla is very funny. He's hilarious.
Although I do have a way to get Biden out of there. How? Because he's not going to listen to anybody, and he's going to make the decision. And now everyone wants him out, including his own party. All I would need to do is get about 3 or 4 of his inner confidants, like the closest people in the circle. And I'd go, you don't want this doddering old fool running for second term, do you? And they'd go, no, we don't. But what can we tell him? I go, listen to me. This is going to work. Get on the same page. When he says, I'm running for a second term, you say, but this is your second term.
Oh, isn't that hilarious?
Idea.
That might work. Oh,
Biden is good about 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
And his best is like our worst.
Yeah.
So the question is, who's running the country?
Joe Biden, mostly.
The other 18, 19 hours, being a president's a full-time
job. The country's on automatic pilot.
The amount of time Biden is good is the amount of time Trump sleeps.
Mm-hmm. So I want to get into the Jean-Pierre sound bites. Now, I was watching it live. I was listening to it live in the car. And this is pretty funny. And people were posting clips of it on Twitter, so I was retweeting them. Mm-hmm. So some of these might be doubles, but it doesn't matter. They're just as good the second and third time.
Gems.
Oh, my goodness. This is all from the White House press conference today with Jean-Pierre. Here we go. Hold on. I can't get it to play now.
He is as sharp as ever, as I have known him to be in my engagement and my experience with him. He is.
For her to say that is just completely absurd. And, I was telling you earlier that she kept this press conference going so long when she didn't have to. She could end it at any time. It's almost as if she's part of the team undermining Biden, and she very well may. There was a time a year or two ago he told her to shut up live on television. He was on.
He's not nice.
He was on Air Force One taking questions from the press, and they were asking him questions, and Jean-Pierre was behind him, and she stepped up and interfered to try to stop the questioning, and Biden turned around in front of the press and said, "Don't interrupt me again," and she said, "Yes, sir." So that was really humiliating, and that's the kind of thing that someone like Jean-Pierre does not get over. Now, this next one I want to play.
Real quick, though, I think the media, and I've said this before, I realize they believe their own lies. And I think up until now, they really believe he's a nice old man.
No, he's a monster.
And now they're realizing he's a nasty piece of garbage.
Yeah, this is Kelly O'Donnell, who is probably out of the White House press corps, one of the most respected. She's with NBC, but she's been around for a long time. I'm sure she's probably liberal, but she's respected by most people more than most of the others there.
She's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
She's absolutely running. Yeah. Well, he's saying that, and I'm sharing with you his view. And we would invite the president to come here and tell us that directly. Noted, Kelly. But
he's awake.
That's inappropriate. As you heard from your colleague, the president of the WHCA, that's inappropriate. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. She's president of the White House Press Corps Association. So, what they're saying there, I'm not sure who that was. It might have been James Rose. I am not sure.
It didn't sound like him.
No, it didn't. I'm not sure who it was that said that, but that is a very, very appropriate comment. And when they say it was not appropriate, that's just Kelly O'Donnell sucking up trying to get an interview.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the White House West Wing and the press room are very tiny, tiny spaces. They're too tiny for secrets. So the White House press corps know a lot more about what's going on at the White House than they're letting on. And when whoever that reporter was said, if he's awake, said that means that he's not awake. He's out of it all the time.
They're all afraid of retribution.
Yes.
That's why people in the media are never honest, because they're all protecting, and they want to protect their job, which I totally understand. They get paid a lot of money, and you know how hard it is to get a gig like that.
And there's prestige
That is the
too.
pinnacle of a journalist's career, is to be like working at the White House and everything. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do anything, but it's like, now that the floodgates have opened, it's almost like, okay, now that CNN and Pelosi and them are all attacking him, it's like they've been given permission now.
Well, yesterday's press briefing was rough. Today, the entire press corps was on the same page. All right, so here's the next. This is again Jean-Pierre today.
To clarify Sunman's question,
Sure.
I mean, how is it that the president was still tired 12 days after returning from Europe, had a cold, but then went to the Waffle House, and then the following day staged such a huge comeback that he gave those North Carolina remarks? Like, help us understand.
Have you had a cold before?
Of course I've had a
Okay,
cold before.
so you probably, well, come on, Jackie. Let's be very,
It was 12 days after he returned, though.
But
and
you
he
also,
claimed jet lag yesterday.
hold on a second. There's a cold, there's a jet lag. You combine that. He continues to work for the American people day in and day out, around the clock. Things happen.
Okay. So this being tired 12 days later, they have beds on Air Force One, and also they don't suffer from jet lag. This blew me away. When Ronnie Jackson had that press conference when he was Trump's White House doctor, he talked about how the president and the entire staff, when they travel around the world, they give them amphetamines, special amphetamines, because of the time changes to keep them all alert. And they do the same thing when they get back. I did not know that. Yeah. Ronnie Jackson in that big press conference. Yeah, they all take them, the entire staffs of all the presidents. So this idea that he was tired, and it is amazing because a lot of times they'll touch down, like in Saudi Arabia, and the times they've been up for like 24 hours. How do you think they do it? It's amphetamines. So it didn't work. Okay, so here is, well, I played that clip already. Hold on, let me see here. Okay, this is Brian Stelter, who I thought they fired from CNN, but apparently they brought him back.
This is no longer a media framing. This is about elected officials in his own party rebelling against him. To the extent that journalists are the ones raising these questions about the president's fitness, that's now fading into the background because it's his own party asking the questions.
Yeah, they are.
And, and that's what I was telling you. That's what brought Nixon down. It was only until the Republicans, so I know a lot of people are saying, well, we've known all this about Biden for a long time. They don't care what we think because we're not Democrats.
That tells me that they absolutely do not care what the American people think at all.
No.
It's about the donors and the politicians weren't. When the party turns on you and the donors turn on you, that's what's controlling everything. And if Biden thinks that he's in control, he's kidding himself. They have decided they're done with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to drop out, but he's not going to be the candidate. I can promise you that. He won't drop out like we've been telling you, but they're going to go to another option here.
And all of you who say, well, we've known about this for years. Do we care what Democrats think about Trump? No, because they don't vote or support him. The Democrats don't care what we think or know.
No, exactly.
And what's made this such a crisis is that not just the media, but the Democrat Party, almost 100%, are also against him. Here's another clip from Jean-Pierre in the press conference. She was dressed kind of funny today, too. She was wearing funny clothes.
I hate her hair.
Yeah, the clothes were really weird today.
Yeah, sure. One other broader question. The president, and I know you will remember this, back in 2020, referred to himself as a transition candidate. He also said back then that he would be a bridge to the next generation of Democratic leaders. Does he still believe that?
Yes, I mean, I think his statement stands. I mean, one of the reasons why he picked the vice president, President Kamala Harris, is because she is indeed the future of the party.
Okay, so what does that mean? She's running? That's like an acknowledgement that she is running.
Very, very confusing.
Yeah. Now,
I don't think they know what's going on.
I'll tell you, do they have any men that get to ask questions in these press briefings? Okay, now, this reporter asks Jean-Pierre in this next clip about the 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. awake time of the president. Listen to that. This was insane. This was brutal. Having a hard time getting into play. Hold on.
Thank you, Kareem. What does the president do outside the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you heard him speak to supporters yesterday outside of 4 p.m. You saw the president land in North Carolina in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock. What was he doing? He was greeting supporters, hundreds of supporters that showed up to cheer him on after the debate. You saw him speaking at 9 o'clock or at night in New York in front of supporters. So he's been pretty much out there after the hours of 4 p.m. and before 10 a.m. for sure. And so that has been something he has consistently done over the past couple of days for sure, for certain.
Have an afternoon nap every day.
Let me be very clear about this. This is a president that wakes up every morning and puts the American people first. That's what he does. He does that every single day. That is his focus. I am not going to speak to sources out there, unnamed sources out there. That's not what I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to what I know, what this president does, and how he is committed to the work of the president, of the commander-in-chief. And his record clearly lays that out and speaks to it. And that's what he's going to continue to do.
Wow. So that's an acknowledgement that he does take a nap every day.
Yeah, of course.
She did not deny it. It's interesting that she did. Now, see what I mean about her prolonging this brutal press conference with all these questions and getting all these things out? I think she knew exactly
When was
what
the
she
last
doing.
time Biden, has he ever done a press conference in that room? I don't recall him ever going to that room to do a press conference.
I'm sure he has.
Not while
I
he's
just
been president.
don't.
I don't remember him ever going in that room and doing a press conference.
I can't think of one offhand.
I
to tell you
mean,
the truth,
during COVID, Trump was there every day for hours.
Yeah, I can't think of one offhand.
I cannot think of a time of him having any kind of a press conference like that in that room.
I'm sure he has. There's no way he hasn't.
No, I'm serious. I don't think he has.
I have to think about that.
He takes one or two questions once in a while. When was the last time he had a real press conference?
A real press conference? No.
Has he ever really had
the
one?
press conferences he has are in these other rooms where he's further away from the press, and that press they don't want him that close to the. Remember when he first became president? They set up a special set.
Yeah, that's what I
across
mean.
the
They've
street.
been protecting this guy from day one.
Now, I want to tell everyone about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you just need a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. And, he covers such a huge area from Jupiter to Miami, from Tampa to Naples, and everywhere in between. And that is a huge part of Florida here. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, I've seen the work he's done, and I've talked to many of our listeners. When I was just on our cruise, there were a few guys that have new roofs from Tom Laporta. And they were telling this other guy who needs some roof work to call Tom Laporta. It's absolutely amazing. I recently went by one of the jobs that Tom Laporta is doing, and he did the roof for one of our listeners right across the street. And it is beautiful, artisan-like work, I'm here to tell you. And Tom Laporta works on every type of structure and uses every type of roofing material, from single-family homes, condos, HOAs, office buildings, municipal buildings, churches, warehouses, whatever type of structure and whichever type of roofing material it is, he does it. He will never sell you a roof you do not need. You can find him online at laportaroofing.com, but I'm going to give you his number, and this number is Tom Laporta's cell phone. Think about that. This is a big company, okay? This is a very big company, very, very large company, does top work, a top company, and you're getting the cell phone number of the owner. You're not going through a receptionist. You're not going through an appointment setter. You're getting the owner, Tom Laporta, on the phone when you call this number, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. One more time, that's 954-604-4602. That is his cell phone number, or you can just go to his website, laportaroofing.com. We're going to take our last break and come back with a lot more. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
Men, are you tired of looking tired? You can turn your tired eyes into a vibrant and refreshed look with a specially formulated under-eye cream for men at Amazon.com/shops/Meditati. That's MEDITATI. This anti-aging formula is designed to repair and protect your eyes against the common signs of aging. Dark circles, puffiness, and those pesky crow's feet gone. With Meditati, you'll say goodbye to those tired eyes and hello to a youthful appearance. It's packed with peptides, vitamin C, jojoba oil, green tea, CoQ10, and other essential ingredients. This formula will keep your under eyes bright and refreshed. It also keeps your skin hydrated with the highest quality natural and organic ingredients. It's crafted by skincare experts, and this non-greasy, lightweight formula absorbs quickly and efficiently, nourishing the skin around your eyes. So if you're tired of puffiness and wrinkles, go right now to Amazon.com/shops/Meditati. That's MEDITATI. Don't miss out on this chance to give your eyes the care they deserve, because you and your eyes deserve it. Amazon.com/shops/Meditati. In a world that's filled with so much stress, how would you like to find a gift that heals the soul? You can at the Etsy shop S Tarot Store. S Tarot Store on Etsy is proud to present Masterpiece. Masterpiece is the most beautiful tarot deck in the world. It's the perfect blend of tarot tradition and cutting-edge AI tech. Masterpiece was created by a team of illustrators, designers, AI experts, and planners. It's a modern remake of the classic Rider-Waite Tarot. Each of the 78 cards features stunning hand-drawn artwork, refined through dozens of composite processes and enhanced with vibrant colors. Each card in the Masterpiece Tarot deck is unique, maintaining the rich tradition of tarot while offering a fresh new perspective. It's perfect for collectors, readers, and anyone seeking a touch of magic in their lives. The Masterpiece Tarot deck is available exclusively in the S Tarot Store on Etsy, online at etsy.com/shop/S Tarot Store. Order your Masterpiece Tarot deck right now at etsy.com/shop/S Tarot Store. S Tarot Store on Etsy. Gifts that heal your soul. You've heard the news. People all over America are moving to new cities, new towns, even new states. But before you pack up and move your entire family, ask yourself this. Do you know anything about that new neighborhood? Don't just relocate. Relocate with confidence. Visit Maptimum.com. That's spelled MAP, TIMUM. And get to know your new neighborhood before you even pack a box. Whether it's across the state or across the country, Maptimum provides detailed, instantly generated reports on everything you need to know about your new neighborhood, from crime to schools, natural hazards, political leaning of the neighborhood, demographics, air quality, AI-generated insights, and more to help you vet your options. All you do is go to Maptimum.com, enter the area, the name of the neighborhood, or the zip code. That's it. You get a comprehensive snapshot at your fingertips. No more guessing and no surprises. So before you make that big move, make the smart move. Visit Maptimum.com. That's MAP, TIMUM. They cover the entire United States. Maptimum.com, your first step to a new beginning. Maptimum.com. The world is torn apart by nuclear devastation, and hope is a flickering flame in the darkness. Join the journey of survival in the book from Florida-based author J. Scott Page, Desecration, available on Amazon. 6 months after the cataclysmic event, humanity is struggling to survive. Whispers of sanctuary in Omaha have ignited a glimmer of hope among the survivors. But the road to salvation is treacherous, with lawlessness and radiation every step of the way. As they approach Omaha, secrets buried beneath the surface threaten to unravel their very existence. Will they find refuge in the heart of darkness, or will Omaha reveal even darker truths? Find out when you read Desecration, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Join the survivors on their quest for safety and redemption, and embark on a journey where every step brings them closer to salvation and damnation. Desecration, from author J. Scott Page, on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Oh, by the way, if you're listening and up on the 4th of July, I will be live on the radio on the 4th of July from 6 to 9. Brought to you by Mike Lindell and My Pillow. You know, I don't take very many days off. Typically, the 4th of July is one that I do take off. But really, the day you want off, when the 4th of July is during the week, the day you want off works the 5th of July, right? So it's tough because you want to go out to the fireworks and celebrate the 4th of July. You really can't do that if you got to get up on the 5th of July. But I usually do take off on the 4th of July. But Mike Lindell and My Pillow asked Steve and I if they could sponsor the 4th of July show. I said, we're going to be off. And they says, oh, we'd like to sponsor it. So, of course, we're going to do it for Mike Lindell and My Pillow. And there's so much news going on anyway. I mean, you know, we probably should be doing the show live anyway, you know, while the rest of the media is off. Mike Lindell and My Pillow are just incredible supporters of everything I do. They're almost like a Patreon supporter. They support us so much. And they support us because you all support Mike Lindell and My Pillow by using our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And the response that Mike Lindell and My Pillow get from this audience, from you guys out there, is so overwhelming. they tell me all the time. The response just blows them away. And I want to thank all of you out there for your support of the program through buying MyPillow products. And, there's incredible specials. The $25 extravaganza is going on right now with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. There are specials throughout the site. You know what I need you to order me, Kathy? Mike Lindell, they have MyPillow socks, both white and black, and I need new socks, both white and black socks.
You got it.
So if you could order me some of the MyPillow socks with the promo code Kane at checkout, they're almost free with the promo code Kane. They're really cheap. I mean, they're really cheap. But there's hundreds of items at MyPillow.com, not just the ones I normally talk about. I talk about the must-haves, the most important, the best deals, but there's so many other things. You can also use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, in Mike Lindell's My Store. The MyPillow coffee is spectacular. I was talking about that this morning. That's why I was drinking that Drano from Starbucks this morning, because I left my MyPillow coffee at home. The MyPillow coffee, it's called My Coffee, is 50% off with our promo code Kane. It comes in Keurig cups, it comes whole bean or ground, and it comes in light all the way up to dark, okay? In many flavors, delicious coffee. So I want to thank Mike Lindell and MyPillow for their support. I want to thank you for supporting them, all right? Okay, so listen to this. Trump's campaign team is blasting Democrats who are now just calling on Biden to call it quits after his disastrous debate performance last week. Every Democrat who is calling on crooked Joe Biden to quit was once a supporter of Biden and his failed policies that lead to extreme inflation, an open border, and chaos at home and abroad. Make no mistake that Democrats, the mainstream media, and the swamp colluded to hide the truth from the American public.
That's right.
Joe Biden is weak, failed, dishonest, and not fit for the White House. This is from one of the campaign managers. Every one of them has lied about Biden's cognitive state and supported his disastrous policies over the past 4 years, especially cackling co-pilot Kamala Harris.
Yep.
That's an official statement from the Trump campaign, not President Trump himself, the campaign
it's very
people.
true. And I think that's the most important thing people need to take from this is that, as we've said, this did not happen overnight.
No.
Dementia doesn't work that way. Your stepdad had a stroke and it happened like instantly. He had like a massive stroke. And the next day he was like a completely different person. I mean, he couldn't even talk.
He was paralyzed.
He
never spoke again.
He was paralyzed, never spoke again. That's not what happened here. This is dementia. This is Alzheimer's. He's been like this for years. And we've all known it. They've been covering it up and protecting him, lying to people about this. I mean, how many times has Trump or us or anybody made a comment and they just flat out tell you it's not true? This is what they do. Everything is they're gaslighting you. What you're seeing is not reality. They're still doing it, some of the people. Well, he had a cold. He was jet lagged. They're still telling you that what you saw was not what you really saw.
Well, they make a good point.
We're supposed to award them because all of a sudden they're telling the truth.
So I want to ask you guys something about this, because this is an interesting thing that came up from the Trump campaign. Now, one of the clips I played in the last segment, they were talking about how he's been like this for a long time and all this stuff. And they were also talking about the down ballot races. They're afraid they're going to lose big in the Senate and the House and all this stuff.
That's right.
And they will. In the new Congress, do you think, I want you guys to let us know what you think about this in the comments. Let us know, because this just popped in my mind as I was reading this statement from the Trump campaign. Do you think that the new Congress should have a congressional committee investigate what's been going on during this term and find out who really was running the country? Because in the state that he's in, he's not running jack, not even between 10 and 4. So people are signing documents with him either faking his signature.
Yeah, it should be like an audit.
Or him not knowing what he's signing.
Right.
People are giving orders. They were talking about presidential immunity.
Exactly.
And with presidential immunity, presidents kill people with their orders all the time. They have immunity, but as bad as he is, there are people in the White House that are giving orders to the military that are resulting in people's deaths, both friendly and unfriendly, sometimes our people, right? So I think there really needs to be a a criminal investigation into the White House, the Biden White House, to find out in these 4 years of this term what really was going on there and who really was running the country and giving orders. This is all illegal. What they're doing is illegal.
The fact that Obama is even involved in this conversation.
That's illegal too.
Why is he even involved in these conversations?
Correct.
You know, George Bush isn't there. Jimmy Carter's
Correct.
Why the hell is Obama even interjecting in this?
Yeah.
Well, we know why, but they're so like in a state right now that they're like you said, things are so chaotic that they're letting things out that they normally wouldn't, and it's just a mess.
They're indicting themselves,
and they're not right, and it's just incredible to me how the left are just so, they have such a desperate need to control, and the more you try to control something, the more out of control it becomes. Yeah. And that's what's really happening. They have a compulsion to control, but they really don't have control because Trump owns them. He owns them, and he's just sitting back eating the popcorn and golfing and going to have a great summer.
Well,
relaxing, watching this mess.
I personally believe there should be a major investigation in the next term into how bad Biden was, and he's obviously gotten worse over the 4 years. So who was giving orders, who was running the military, who was signing documents? There's a lot of criminal activity that happened. And other than Biden, no one else has immunity, including Jill. And what's going on here is dangerous. And I know what they tell themselves. I mentioned this many times. It's been rumored. This has never been proven as fact, but it's been accepted as American fact that Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and his wife ran the country for the last year of his presidency. Well, that's the United States was not a world power then. We weren't the country. It was wrong then, okay? Doesn't make it right now, but they tell themselves, well, Woodrow Wilson's wife did it, so it's okay for Jill to do it. That ain't true.
Not for another 4 years.
And not for these past 4 years.
And not to run on a lie like that.
Yeah, just because something happened in the past doesn't mean it's a legal precedent making it okay. So I think there are people that should be going to jail. Jen Psaki is going to be testifying about something in front of Congress, and it's a big nothing thing. But Jen Psaki, Jean-Pierre, his chief of staffs, people on the staff of the first, all these people, there are people committing more than just elder abuse. They are committing possibly murder. If they are responsible for illegal troop movements because the president is not mentally capable of ordering it, so they're just doing it, and people die, that's murder. If they're moving troops around and making policy decisions on their own, these are all felonies, major, major felonies. And a lot of people inside that White House should go to prison. And a lot of this circling the wagons may be starting to sink in. There's a new sheriff coming to town. There's going to be a new attorney general. Mm-hmm. No matter what, there's going to be a new attorney general. The questions about Biden's condition are not going away even when he leaves office.
I think they need to subpoena a lot of phone records.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where a lot of the text messages is where a lot of you're going to find some information. And I think you're right. A lot of people are just probably doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Signing things, going a little rogue.
That major crime,
approving things, disapproving things, because there's nobody watching things.
No.
There's nobody in charge.
No.
And that's what happens.
Think about that.
I knew a woman who owned a hair salon, and she owned the business, and she was never there. She let somebody else run it, and they were running it into the ground and making decisions and doing all these things. And she was complaining to me about it. I said, the problem is you're not there. It's your business. Why aren't you there running it? I said, why would you let somebody else run it? They're not going to care about it as much as you. They're going to do their own thing. And they're going to start feeling after a while that they're in charge.
Correct.
And that you're no longer the boss.
That's right.
And she fired the girl and took charge of her business. And that's what's going on with Biden. He's not in charge. He's not around. He's checked out. So you got all these people running around thinking they're in charge.
Correct.
When they're not. And they're doing their own thing. So I think that's a good idea. Let's audit that. Have Jim Jordan take charge of that. And let's subpoena some phone records, text messages. And I bet it would be a deluge of very valuable very interesting information.
Yeah.
And I think people would be probably shocked at the kind of stuff that's been going on over the last 4 years.
And a lot of this lawfare that's going on against Trump, like Fannie and all this, these people around Biden are the ones really behind it, not him as much, because he's not capable. So there's a lot of people that have committed some hard, like Nathan Wade, when he went to the White House, met with the White House counsel, the White House lawyer, Biden's lawyer. Biden's checked out. There are people on Biden's staff that are coordinating the lawfare. So these are just a couple of things. There are endless numbers of major treasonous felonies being committed by Biden's staff, far beyond elder abuse. Elder abuse is like one of the minor crimes.
There's no checks and balances going on there.
They're out of, they're rogue. They've seized control of the government.
They're all doing
illegally.
their own thing because they're not being held accountable to anything.
And none of them have authority to do it. Listen, we're out of time for today. Make sure you tune in to me on the 4th of July. I will be live on the radio and on YouTube from 6 to 9 a.m. on the 4th of July, brought to you by MyPillow. My name is Brian Craig. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.